Please welcome Dr. John C. Maxwell.
Thank you very much. Good morning. What a privilege it is to be with you at Ignite. I'm so excited. What a wonderful, wonderful organization you belong to. I've known the leaders for some time, and whenever I look at any company, the question I always ask is who's leading it? Because everything rises and falls on leadership. Are you with me? And if you've got good leadership, all is good. If you've got bad leadership, all is bad. And you have wonderful leadership. I know your leaders well, and you ought to be very pleased. Very pleased. And I'm so glad to be here with you and to be able to have some time here with you to talk to you about how you can develop and grow yourself. Let's get acquainted. My name is John. What's your name? Nice to meet you. And my wife Margaret and I have been married now for 44 years. We have 2 children. We have 5 grandchildren. Are there any grandparents here? Huh? Okay. If you're a grandparent, you already know something that the rest of them have no clue about. Grandchildren are God's reward for you not killing your children. Isn't that true? You know, especially when your children are teenagers, you know, you have those days when you just say, you know, shall I let them live? You know what I mean? It really gets close sometimes. And I just want you to know that if you're kind of wondering if you should let your teenage kid live, let them live. I plead for them, okay? Let them live. Because if you let them live, there's a day they'll give you a grandchild, and then you'll know why you let them live. Because when you get that first grandbaby and you put that baby in your arms, I kid you not, you'll look at that little grandbaby and you'll without anybody helping you, without anybody prompting you, you'll say, this is the smartest, most beautiful child ever born. You just know it. You know it. And then you'll ask yourself a question. I promise you, this is the way it works. I know. You'll ask yourself a question. You look at this grandchild and you'll ask yourself, why did intelligence skip a generation? I was speaking at a large convention a few months ago, and I was telling them that story, and I forgot that my son Joel was in the audience. So I walked backstage after I've done speaking, and there he is in the green room, and he's waiting for me. I mean, he's waiting for me. And I looked at him and I said, Joel, honey, I said, when I was out there talking about grandchildren and intelligence skipping a generation, you know, I was just having fun. I was just kidding. And he looked at me and he said, no. He said, it's okay, Dad. In fact, he said, I think you're right. I said, what do you mean you think I'm right? He said, I think you're right about intelligence skipping a generation. I said, you do? He said, yes, I do, Dad. He said, in fact, just last week, Grandpa and I had that very same Oh, he killed me. He killed me good. I had a birthday this week. I turned 66. I've got really good news for you that are young, and anymore everybody looks young to me. But I've just got, if you're under 65, I've got great news for you. When you become 65, I've now had this for a year. When you become 65, you just get wisdom. This is a wonderful thing. And you don't get it before 65, so quit trying. But when you get 65, all of a sudden there's one day you wake up and you understand people and you understand life, and it's a wonderful thing. It really is a wonderful thing. If you can remember it, it's a wonderful thing. So I brought with me one of my favorite things. This is a laminated card about life. And you have to understand when there's anything important that I'm going to talk about or I want to remember, I always laminate it. Laminating laminating a card is like making it holy, okay? If I'd have been Moses and if I'd have gone on top of Mount Sinai, I would have laminated the 10 Commandments. That's what I certainly wouldn't put them on stone. Those babies break. But anyway. So this is going to explain life to you. Then I'm going to teach like crazy. So look at your neighbor and say, you're about to understand life. Go ahead and tell them that, okay? All right, here we go. On the first day God created the dog, God said, sit all day by the door of your house and bark at anybody that goes by.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a lifespan of 20 years. The dog said, that's too long to be barking.
Okay.
Give me 10 years and I'll give you the other 10 back. God agreed. On the second day, God created the monkey. God said, entertain people, do monkey tricks, make them laugh. I'm going to give you a 20-year lifespan. The monkey said, how boring. Monkey tricks for 20 years? I don't think so. The dog gave you back 10 years. So that's what I'll do too, okay? And God agreed. On the third day, God created the cow. God said, we're not to the punchline yet, sir. But I'll take it anytime you can give it. That's no problem. On the third day, God created the cow. God said, you must go out in the field with the farmer all day long, suffer under the sun, have calves, give milk to support the farmer. I'm going to give you a lifespan of 60 years. The cow said, I'm going to take you on the road with me. The cow said, that's kind of a tough life that you want me to live for 60 years. Let me have 20, I'll give you back the other 40. And God agreed. On the fourth day, God created man. God said, eat, sleep, play, marry, enjoy your life. I'm going to give you 20 years. And I said, what? Only 20 years? I'll tell you what, I'll take my 20, add the 40 the cow gave you back, the 10 the monkey gave you back, the 10 the dog gave you back, that makes 80. Okay, God said, you've got a deal. So that is why the first 20 years of our lives, we eat, sleep, play. I see the train coming. We enjoy ourselves. The next 40 years we slave in the sun to support our family. For the next 10 years we do monkey tricks to entertain the grandchildren. And for the last 10 years we sit on the front porch and we bark at everybody that goes. Just had life explained to you. I'm ready to teach. Are you ready to learn? Look at your neighbor and say to them, you're about to learn something. All right. Look right back at him and say, it's about time. I'm going to talk to you about the laws of growth. I'm going to talk to you about how you can grow yourself so that you can grow people, so that you can grow your business. In fact, when people come to me all the time, they say, what is the best thing I can do to really be good in the business? The best thing you can do to really be good in the business is to grow yourself. You cannot give what you do not have. So you have to grow yourself, and that's what I want to talk to you about. And this is taken from my book, The 15 Laws of Growth. It just came out in October. It's been #1 on the New York Times bestseller list for a month, and it's doing very. I'm just curious. Do some of you have the book? Yeah. Okay. You got to get this book. So look at your neighbor and tell them they have no chance at success unless they get this book. What I'm going to give you are laws. Laws for growth. I'm not going to give you good ideas. There are a lot of ideas, but this is much better than a good idea. I'm not going to give you principles of growth. Principles are fine, but principles generally work. I've given you laws. Laws always work. They always do. Laws are not dependent upon culture. In other words, the laws of growth will work in every culture. I have a company called Equip, which is the largest leadership organization in the world. We're in 175 countries. We've trained 6 million leaders. I understand leadership. I understand culture. I understand different languages. I understand the whole deal. And what I'm giving you is laws. In other words, the laws that I'm going to give you, they work right here in the States, but can I tell you something? They work in Guatemala. They work in South Africa. They work anywhere in the world. They're laws. They're laws. Laws are not dependent upon culture. Laws are not dependent upon timing. These laws worked 100 years ago. These laws worked 500 years ago. These laws will work 100 years from now. They're laws. Not good ideas. Not good thoughts. Not principles. They're laws. When I wrote the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I was doing a one-year lecture tour around the world, and the guy came up to me and he said, I just want you to know, I was signing books during the break, so I just want you to know I disagree with one of your laws. I said, that's okay. I kept signing books. And I could tell, he stood there, so I could tell it wasn't okay with him. Then it was okay with me. Then it wasn't okay with him. So he said, no, I want you to understand, I disagree with one of the laws you have in the book on leadership. And I said, it's all right. It's okay. You don't have to agree with it. And I kept signing it. You know, take a pill, fella. Take a pill. He came back the third time and he said, no, listen, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I don't agree with one of your laws. I said, I understand that. You don't agree with one of the laws. It's okay. He said, no, it isn't okay. I said, it is okay. He said, I don't care whether you agree with it or not. I didn't write the book to make you happy. I wrote the book to help you. I'm a leader, not a clown. If you want to get happy, go to the circus. This isn't the circus. I'm going to help you. Let me just talk to you. It's like somebody saying, I don't agree with the law of gravity. I don't care. Go up to a 4-story building and jump off. You'll buy into the law of gravity rather quickly. You'll have about a second and a half before you die to say, that's a law. You see, laws don't care whether you like them. Laws are laws. And the laws I'm going to give you, I hope you like them. I know they work. But here's what, it doesn't really matter. But if you cooperate with the laws, it's going to be amazing what begins to happen in your life. And I can't do 15. I don't have enough time, but I can do maybe 3 or 4. We'll go. Well, let's see what we can do. And now, why would I do 15? You got to buy the book. And I'll sign afterwards. Right out here. I'll sign for you, okay? In fact, I have 3 books. You can get the package if you want to. Put your dream to the test. 10 questions everybody ought to ask themselves before they start their dream. Oh, if I was in your business, I would get the people that I was trying to qualify and I'd say, read the book. Then come back and talk to me. They'll disqualify or qualify themselves. 10 questions. Put your dream to the test. Beyond Talent. Huge book. It basically says, no matter how talented you are, it's the choices you make that make the difference. And I talk about the choices you need to make way beyond talent. And then I've got, of course, the 15 laws. You get it in a package or whatever you want. It's back there. Then there's an audio thing if you want to do the dream kit with people in a small group. There's a dream kit. You can look at that later. Now let me give you the laws. Let's go. Law number 1. The law of intentionality. The law of intentionality just simply says growth just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. In other words, you don't grow automatically. You see, most people think that if they just show up to work every day, they'll get better. I'm here to tell you that the longer you live, it's not true, the better you get. I know a lot of people, they're getting older, but they're not getting better. There has nothing to do with the fact of filling your day, and somehow with filling your day, you begin to develop yourself, or you begin to grow. That doesn't happen. Growth doesn't just happen. The only thing that's automatic in life after you're born is death. You don't have to take a course on death. You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to say, "Wow, I got to make sure I die." I got to read a book on dying so I make sure I can make that happen. No, you don't have to read a book on it. You don't have to study on it. You don't have to ask any questions on it. Just hang around long enough, and guess what we all get to do? It's automatic. But the only thing automatic in life is death. You see, you can tell you're on the road to success. It's uphill all the way. And you don't coast uphill. It's got to be intentional. And my life was literally changed when I was in my 20s. In 1974 at the Holiday Inn, I was having breakfast with a guy named Kurt Kampmeyer. And Kurt sat across from me at the table, and he asked me, he said, "John, what is your plan for growth?" Well, I didn't have a plan for growth. I didn't even know I was supposed to have a plan for growth. I mean, nobody ever told me. I just kind of thought that I would grow. I didn't know. And I was embarrassed because I was young and I didn't have an answer, so I tried to fake it. So I told him how hard I worked and all the stuff that I did. And I was like a plane circling a field trying to come in for a landing. I was just going around and around and around. And finally I ran out of gas and I landed that sucker. And as soon as I shut up, he smiled. He said, "You don't have a plan, do you?" I said, "No, I don't have a plan." And then he said the words that changed my life. They changed my life. These words changed my life. He said, "Growth, John, is not automatic. If you're going to grow, you're going to have to be intentional." I have a question to ask you. What's your plan for growth? I mean, if I could literally come down off stage and you and I could talk one-on-one, and I would look at you and I'd say, "What do you do every day to ensure that you're growing?" What would you say? You see, when Kurt Kampmeyer told me that growth was not automatic, I went to all of my friends, and for the next year, I asked over 500 people, "Do you have a plan for growth? Do you have a plan for growth? Do you have a growth plan in your life? How do you intentionally grow?" And guess what? I didn't have one person out of 500 say they had a plan for growth for their life. And that's when it hit me. Most people live their entire life and never plan to intentionally grow. I was signing books one day, and I had a guy ask me the question. It was a little bit of a lull. He said, "John," he said, "what's your plan for growth?" So I had a couple of minutes, so I told him. And I never will forget, I still can't believe this response of his. As soon as I told him my plan for growth, he looked at me and he said, "Well, I don't like your plan." Okay. All right. Got it. And so I looked at him and I said, "Well, what's your plan?" Well, he said, "I don't have one yet." I said, "I like my plan better." When the book came out in October, The 15 Laws of Growth, I decided to do something that I hadn't done for 30 years. I literally did an online program called the Maxwell Plan for Growth. If you want to get it, you can just go online and get it. Go to johnmaxwell.com. It'll tell you how to be a part of it. Literally, since that time, thousands and thousands have joined that plan, and I'm helping them grow. I had talked to a guy the other day. He said, "I've grown more in the last 3 months than I grew in the last 3 years because all of a sudden, I'm intentional. Every day, you're giving me something to grow." It's amazing, folks, what happens when you become intentional in your life. James Allen said this. He said, "Most people are very anxious to improve their circumstances, but they're not anxious to improve themselves. And they therefore remain bound." You see, I read that as a 7th grader. As a 7th grader, I read James Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh. It's a classic book. I read it every year. It's about 77 pages. I read it all the time. But my father understood that what happens in intentional growth, and so you have to understand, my dad, when we got to the 7th grade, our allowance from the 7th grade on was based upon us reading books. He had a plan for us. He picked the books out, put them in our hands. We had to read 30 minutes a day. Our dinner conversation was always around the books that we were reading. I'm the middle child, older brother, younger sister. And one of the first books I read was As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. But that's how I got my allowance. Incredible. All of my friends, they didn't get an allowance for reading books, they got an allowance for doing chores. So I went to my dad and I said, Dad, my friends get an allowance for doing chores. I like that plan. I said, how about me? Can I get an allowance for doing chores? He said, no, son, you'll never get an allowance for doing chores. I said, why, Dad? He said, because you do chores because you're part of a family. And I don't pay you to be part of a family. You're part of a family because you're part of a family and we help each other out. So you got to understand, you'll never be paid to be part of it. In fact, he said, let me explain it this way to you, son. By the time you were born, you already owed your mother for 9 months of room and board. So shut up and take out the garbage. And he said, why should I pay you to take out the garbage unless I want you to be a garbage man? I put my money where my values are, son. And my values are in good books, and so he placed good books in my hands. I don't want to seem cocky here, but by the time I graduated from high school, by the time my brother graduated, by the time my sister graduated, you have to understand, we were so far ahead of our peers. It was ridiculous. Because we had read great books all through junior high and high school. By the time my brother graduated from college, he was already a millionaire. By the time I was 28, I had the 10th largest nonprofit organization in the country. By the time my sister was 27, she literally ran a hospital in Dayton, Ohio. Life isn't complicated, folks. If you're going to get the best out of your child, you got to invest the best in your child. I did that for my children, and I'm doing it for my grandchildren. I pay them. I pay them to listen to CDs. I pay them to listen to books. I love somebody came to me and said, well, I don't think I want to do that. Well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to invest in your children. MTV will. I've got a whole list of people that are already investing. The only question is, do you want to do it too? Do you want to join the crowd? You see, my father understood the value of intentional growth. He understood that growth is not going to be automatic, and if I'm going to get better, I have to be intentional in what I am doing. So I'm going to challenge you today. Before I go to the second law, I'm going to challenge you big time. When are you going to start an intentional growth plan? When? When? Now. Listen to me carefully. Good, well-intentioned people don't understand what I call the law of diminishing intent. The law of diminishing intent basically says, the longer you put off doing something that you should do now, the greater the odds are that you will never do it. And I watch people all the time. I'm talking about good people. Some of the best people I know. I watch wonderful, wonderful people. It's in their whole life, their middle name should be someday. There goes someday. Someday they're going to make that decision. Someday they're going to take that initiative. I will tell you this. If you will get on a personal growth plan, it doesn't have to be mine, get your own, I don't really care. But I'm going to tell you this, if you'll get on an intentional personal growth plan, your life will radically change. In 3 months, you won't recognize yourself. That's a fact. The law of intentionality, growth doesn't just happen. Law number 2, the law of the lid. The law of the, or I'm sorry, not the law of the lid. That's another law. Okay, that's in the laws of, that's in the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, and that's a whole new lecture. Okay. The law of the mirror. The law of the mirror says, as you look into the mirror, what you see is what you get. What do you do? What do you do in your life? When you look in the mirror, how do you see yourself? Do you see that this is a law of self-image? What do you see when you look in the mirror? I mean, do you see yourself from a 1 to a 10 as a 5? Do you see yourself as average? Do you see yourself as a 7? Do you see yourself as a 2? Because however you see yourself is how you will sell yourself. You can't sell yourself higher than you see yourself. People won't buy you at a higher number than what you are. So the number that you put on yourself, you see, we cannot consistently behave in a manner that is inconsistent with how we see ourselves. Wow. So the law of the mirror, it's a huge law. The law of the mirror basically says this: how I see myself determines how much I will invest in myself. If you see yourself as a 3, you won't put a 10 investment on you. You'll put a 3 investment on you. You'll put the level of investment that you see yourself. Now, what's huge is this: not only as you see yourself, that'll be the determinant of how you invest in yourself. As you see yourself, that will determine on how well you invest in others. Because if you see yourself as a 3, you won't invest in people that are 7s. They'll intimidate you. This is a huge, huge law in leadership. In the laws of leadership, there's a law called the law of magnetism. And the law of magnetism says we attract who we are, not who we want. And so therefore, how you see yourself is who you attract to yourself. And the higher number that you see yourself, the better your self-image, the better type of a person that you'll attract. If I see myself as a 7, I've got shots of attracting 5, 6, and 7s to me. If I see myself as a 4, I'm going to attract 2s and 3s to me. So how I see myself, my self-image is absolutely essential. When Margaret and I had our 2 children, we determined that there would only be 5 things that we'd emphasize as parents, just 5 things. I mean, you can't emphasize everything as your kids, good Lord. It's a worthless exercise. Trust me. When you become a grandparent, you relax. You realize 90% of the stuff you gave your kids was worthless. It's okay. It's all right. Keep trying. But one of the things we determined that we would make sure we worked on our children was with their self-image. My father understood that well. I could remember as I was growing up in my dad's home, my brother, who's 2 years and 3 months older than I am, every night after dinner we'd like to clear the furniture out of the living room and wrestle. And my brother was bigger than I. He was husky. And so every night he would win. I mean, he pinned me every night. I mean, I went night after night losing. But I just loved to wrestle, so I'd just go back in and work hard and lose again, which shows you I had great energy and low IQ. One evening at the dinner table, my dad looked at Larry and said, "Larry, tonight I'm going to wrestle John. In fact, all week long I'm going to wrestle him. You referee, I'll do the wrestling." Now here I am, I'm 8. I'm looking at my dad, and my brother's beating me up on a regular basis. And my dad's bigger than my brother, and I'm thinking, this is not a good thing. This is just not, this is not a good thing. I'll never forget that first night wrestling my dad. It was a struggle. I mean, we went at it, it seemed like an hour. I'm telling you, we went at it for a long time, up and down and rolling and over and over and over. And you'll find this hard to believe, but at the end of that time, I pinned my dad. Oh, it was amazing. I was so happy. I jumped up, and my brother was a referee. He had to put my arm in the air. He hated that. And the next night, after my struggle, I pinned my dad. And the next night I won. And the next night I won. And I won for 5 straight nights. And it was amazing what that did to me. And I'll never forget the next Monday when Dad said, "Larry, you'll wrestle John this week." Larry and I went at it that night. And guess what? He never pinned me again. hit me again. Now let me ask you a question. What happened? What happened? Did I all of a sudden in a week become strong? No. I all of a sudden in a week lifted my self-image. And how we see ourselves determines how we behave. The mirror is a huge law, because what I see in myself is going to determine how much I'll invest in myself. How much will I bet on me? It's amazing to me the people that are unwilling to invest in themselves. They want somebody else to sponsor them. Well, you invest in me. You scholarship me. I'm not about to invest in you until you invest in you first. The first person that should believe in you is not me. The first person that should believe in you is you. And when you believe in you, then others will believe in you. But if you don't believe in you, you don't have a chance of others believing in you. The law of the mirror is a huge mirror. Law number 3. Are you learning something? Law number 3. The law of consistency. The law of consistency just simply says motivation gets you going. Discipline keeps you growing. Motivation gets you and me started, but motivation doesn't last very long. You're here at this wonderful conference. You've had a great time. You're motivated. You're walking on the ceiling. But can I tell you, it's something that has nothing to do with your success. The question is not how excited you are about Ignite right now, all the things that you're writing down, all the things you're going to do. Yes, I'm going to go. That has nothing to do with your success. What has everything to do with your success is 1 week from now if you're doing the things you say you're going to do now. You see, that's why I'm a motivational teacher, not a motivational speaker. I like motivational speakers, but they're worthless. You see, a motivational speaker makes you feel good, but the next day you're not sure why. A motivational teacher makes you feel good, but the next day you know why. And you know why because they give you principles that you can follow and that you can apply. And in this law of consistency, this is of the 15 laws, this is my favorite law, but the law of consistency is a very non-sexy law. I mean, there's nothing sexy about being consistent. I mean, somebody said, you know, there's some things I admire about you. Let's go out to lunch and let me tell you. And so you said at lunch, you said, let me tell you the things I admire most of you. So you're kind of waiting for him to, you know, come on, lay on me. What do you really admire about you? You will be a little disappointed if the first thing comes out of the mouth and says, the thing I admire most about you is, you're consistent. I like brilliant. Consistent's just a little boring, but it works. My whole life is success because of consistency. I've been speaking since 1969. I've been teaching leadership since 1974. I've been writing since 1979. I've been doing resources, books, and videos since 1984. You see, all of my life I've just been doing the very, very same thing. And it compounds. The reason some people are never successful is you can't be successful doing something for 2 years. You can be motivated for 2 years, but you can't be successful in 2 years. Success is a long process. Success is a journey. It's not an event. It's not a time. It's not a position. It's not a promotion. I'm going to teach you now, because my time is limited and I want to make sure I give you some good stuff, some stuff that you can really use. I want to teach you, if you came to my life and you said, John, you can only teach one thing to me that would help me be successful, what would that one thing be? I'm going to teach it right now, okay? So look at your neighbor and say to them, you better get good. Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
Ready.
This is the rule of 5. The rule of 5 will change your life. Now, normally I teach this for an hour. I'm going to teach this in 7 minutes, okay? But I can do that here because you're smarter than most people. Now the rule of 5 will change your life. This will change your life. If you do this rule of 5 in this business, I will promise you, you will have your greatest year if you'll do the rule of 5. You're not one of your better years. Everyone, I don't care what level you're on, you will have your greatest year if you do the rule of 5. So let me illustrate the rule of 5. The rule of 5 says if you have a tree in your backyard and you want to cut it down, and you have an axe, you got the picture? You want to cut the tree down, that's your goal. You got an axe, that's your tool. You with me? The rule of 5 says if you pick up the axe every day, and you go out in your backyard to where the tree is, and you take the axe and you swing 5 times at the tree with the axe. Put the axe down. Next day, you go out, pick up the axe, swing 5 times at the tree, put the axe down. The next day, you pick up the axe, swing 5 times at the tree, put the axe down. Next day, you pick up the axe, you swing 5 times at the tree, you put the axe down. The next day, you pick up the axe, you swing 5 times at the tree, you put the axe down. Next day, you pick up the axe, you swing 5 times at the tree, put the axe down. The next day, you pick up the axe, you swing 5 times at the tree, put the axe down. Next day, you pick up the axe, swing 5 times at the tree, put the axe down. If you do that every day, just 5 swings a day with an axe. Just 5, not 50, not 500, not 5,000, not 500,000. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you do that every day, let me ask you a question. What will eventually happen to that tree? It will fall down. It's not, hey, this isn't up for debate. I mean, we don't need to sit around and say, will the tree fall? What do you think philosophically? What do you think about the tree? No, the tree will fall. Now, if it's a small tree, it'll fall maybe in a couple of months. If it's a big tree, it maybe will fall in a couple of years. That isn't the question. I didn't ask, when will the tree fall? I asked you, would the tree fall? The tree will fall. Why will the tree fall? The tree will fall because every day you picked up the axe. And every day you swung 5 times, not 50 times, not 500 times, not 5, you swung 5 times at the tree. And if you do that every day, the tree will fall. Have you got it? People ask me all the time, John, you've written so many books. Yeah, I have. In fact, I've written 73, but who's counting? I've written 73 books. And people come to me and say, how did you write 73 books? I'm going to give you my secret. This is huge. Every one of my books, I write 1 word at a time. Never one time have I ever looked at an empty page and say, be filled. I've never looked at a chapter and say, write yourself. No, I write 1 word at a time. Not even on a computer. I got a 4-color pen and a legal pad. That's how I write my books. 1 word at a time. You say, how can you write 73 books? Rule of 5. Rule of 5. Every day I read. Every day I think. Every day I file. Every day I ask questions. Every day I write. Every day I read, every day I think. Every day I file, every day I ask questions. Every day I write. Every day I read, every day I think, every day I file, every day I ask questions, every day I write. Every day I read, every day I think, every day I file, every day I ask questions, every day I write. Every day I read, every day I think, every day I file, every day I ask questions, every day I write. Every day I read, every day I think, every day I file, every day I ask questions, every day I write. You say, John, when you say every day, can I clear this up? What do you mean by every day? What I mean by every day is every day. Every day I read, every day I think, every day I file, every day I ask questions, every day I write. Do you say, now John, a couple days ago when it was your birthday, did you do that on your birthday? Guess what I do every birthday? Every birthday I read, every birthday I think, every birthday I file, every birthday. You say, no, wait a minute. How about Christmas? What do you do? Guess what I do every Christmas? Every Christmas I read, every Christmas I think, every Christmas I file, every Christmas I ask questions. How about vacation? What do you do on vacation? Every day on vacation I read, think, file, ask questions, right? Well, what happens when you're sick? Every time when I'm sick, I read, think, file, right, ask questions. Every day. Not some days, not good days, not most days, not happy days. Every day. I have been filing since I was 17, every day. I don't have 1,000 stories and 1,000 quotes. I have tens of thousands of stories. I could go to my study and I could write another 30 books and never come out. So I said, how do you get tens of thousands of quotes? Every day I file. Excuse me. You see, we overestimate what we can do in one event and we underestimate what we can do every day. Now, you don't write, so that can't be your rule of 5. But I'm going to tell you how I could very quickly in this business go to the top. And I'm saying very quickly in this business go to the top. I would figure out what is the rule of 5 for your success in Ignite. And I would figure out what I needed to do every day. And by the way, this will take a while. This is your assignment. And I know you're thinking I'm pretty smart by this rule of 5, and I'm just kind of rattling those 5 things off. Can I tell you something? It took me 7 years to find the 5. 7 years. Well, now I'm a little slow. It won't take you 7 years. The reason it took me 7 years is nobody ever taught me the rule of 5. I had to learn it myself. But it will take you a year or 2 to figure out your rule of 5. See, to get to my rule of 5, I probably went through 50 things. And I found that some things, if I did every day, it really didn't matter. But these things, if I did every day, it really did matter. And you gotta, so it's not the good things you can do everything, it's the essential things that you can do, have to do every day. And if you don't do them every day, you won't get that tree knocked down. I want to challenge you to figure out your rule of 5. Figure it out. Because once you get your rule of 5 and you do it on an everyday basis, see, let me explain something. We overestimate decision making and we underestimate decision managing. So we make a decision. Oh, you've made decisions here at Ignite. You've sat there, maybe you've made a decision to join this organization. I don't know, maybe a decision to go to the next level. Can I tell you something? That decision you made at this conference is worthless. Worthless. Unless you have a plan to manage that decision. So you made a decision. I've got a question to ask you. How are you going to manage it? The success is not in making the decision. The success is in managing the decision. And highly successful people, they don't make a lot of decisions, but the ones they make, they have a plan to manage those decisions to make sure that those decisions come to pass. And the rule of 5 is a managing the decision kind of a deal. That acts, that daily, that's all in management. Let me illustrate. I'll close with this illustration. You're so much fun. I'm only going to get to do 3 laws with you today, but hey, the book's right out there. Let me just illustrate what I mean about decision making overrated, decision managing underrated. I wrote a book about 8, 10, 12 years ago called Today Matters. And I don't know if you have Today Matters, but if you don't, you should. Because I talk about the daily dozen, 12 decisions you need to manage every day of your life if you want to be successful. I promise you it'll change your life. But let me talk to you about decision managing for a second. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have made a New Year's resolution at one time or another? Can I see your hands? We've made New Year's resolution. Okay, that's all of us. Thank you very much. I got both my hands up. I've made it many times, okay? So in December, we make a New Year's resolution, don't we, huh? Wow, I mean, hey, we look at the new year, we think, oh, in a few days, in a few weeks, I'm going to get a fresh start. And our New Year's decisions, our New Year's resolutions, they go something like this. Boy, when the new year comes, I'll tell you what I'm going to exercise. Hey, well, I'll tell you what, on the new year, I'm going to lose weight next year. Next year, I am going to lose some weight. Now, thank God I'm still in this year. Give me another piece of cake, please. But next year, on January 1, I'm going to exercise and I'm going to lose weight. So what do we do on January 1? We are in our car and we are excited because we made a New Year's resolution that this year I'm going to exercise and lose weight. And we are driving over to the gym and we're all excited. We pull up to the parking lot in the gym and all of a sudden we realize we can't get in. There's a cop out there. And he's waving us on. I said, look, the parking lot's full. The parking lot's full. You're going to have to go on. So we go down the street. We go 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. We finally find a place. We park. We got to walk to the gym. That's kind of disgusting right there. We don't want to exercise outside of the gym. We want to exercise. There's a place to do such a thing as exercise. And so now we are walking 3 blocks to the gym. We're just a little bit ticked. And we finally get into the gym. And as soon as we get in there, we find every machine is taken. The place is absolutely packed. I mean, we got to take a number and get in line. Well, we go with the manager and say, Mr. Manager, I'm not a complaining person, but I tell you, first of all, I want you to know your parking lot is too small. I had to drive 3 blocks to get here today. And let me tell you something else. Look around here. Mr. Manager, your gym's too small. Look, everybody's on a machine. I can't even get on a machine right now. You got it. You're too small. General manager just smiles and says, relax, it's okay. Listen to me carefully, go home. Just go home. Come back in 2 weeks. Not 2 years, 2 weeks. When you come back in 2 weeks, guess what? Parking lot's not full. You can pull right in. In fact, they have a couple kids out there with sandwich boards. There's a membership drive. They got balloons and whistles, and they're trying to get you to join the gym. You can bring your car right up, and you can park right by the front door of the gym 2 weeks later. In fact, if the door's big enough, you can park your car right inside that gym. And I want to tell you, when you walk in, you can take any machine you want to. This place isn't crowded right now. Now, what's happened? Let me tell you exactly what's happened, my friend. It takes the average person 14 days to stop managing the decision that they made. 14 days. You nor I will ever be successful in life until we get control of our daily agenda. Because the secret of your success and the secret of my success is determined by what we do every day. And my last words to you in this area of growth are just quite simple. Find the 5 things in this business that are absolutely essential to build the business. And don't have 6, you don't need 7, you don't need 8, you need 5. 5 things. Figure it out. Spend the next month figuring out what are my 5 things, and then when you get those 5 things, guess what you do every day? Every day. Every day you do those 5 things. Every day you pick up the axe and you go to that tree and 5 times. And what the secret of this is, I didn't say you had to do it all day. I said you had to do it every day. Because here's what you're about to find. You're going to find that success has no secrets. I love people when they say, well, let me give you the 3 secrets to success. They're selling something. There are no secrets to success. If you want to be successful, it's very simple. You got to love what you do, or you won't do it all the time. So you have to be passionate about what you do. And after you love what you do, you got to figure out what you have to do to be successful. Once you love it and prioritize it. Love it and prioritize it. Love it and prioritize it. You'll be successful. And the reason that I came here today was very simple. My name's John. I'm your friend. And basically what I do is I walk into people's lives and I take things complicated and make them simple. You see, I have an education, but I'm not an educator. Educators take something simple and make it complicated. If you're not confused, they're not happy. I'm a communicator. Communicators take something complicated and make it simple. I like to put the cookies on the lower shelf so everybody can have some. And today, that's what I try to do. I've just tried to walk into your life, say, my name is John, I'm your friend. And if you want to be successful in this business, you can be, because others have. Love what you do what you love, and take the 5 things you need to do every day, and do them every day, and you'll be successful. And that's why I came. Thank you very much.